What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Your guys, Derek and Cody, with you as always. It's been a while, Cody, since we were able to get a video done together. I feel like the last few weeks we've had to try to get some other content creators to come on here and help us out, but good to have you back on here for this one, man.
Yeah, good to be back, my friend. I know it's been a while. It just seems like, gosh, with this season of life right now, it's just seems like every time I'm available, you're not available, and so on and so forth. So glad that we have a lot of good friends that we're able to bring on and able to kind of fill the void there. But man, you can't beat it. Can't beat being back here together, and really excited to talk about the head coaching a little bit. And I guess the good news is we're able to talk about this a little bit now. Because this search has kind of been, pushed further back even than I think a lot of us thought. So, yeah, good to be back.
Absolutely, man. Well, I mean, you haven't really missed a whole lot, Cody, when it comes to the content world. We're pretty much still stuck in the same spot. The Colts had interviewed Shane Steichen yesterday in Philadelphia. No word came out about anything there, which now you can't make a announcement on him if he's your hire until at least next Monday, the Monday after the Super Bowl, which would be February 13th. So here's the thing. I hear people saying that and they're like, oh, well, they probably will just think on it. They probably are just staying quiet and then they're just going to announce that after the Super Bowl. I'm like, that's all well and good. But my problem is if you knew that Shane Steichen was going to be your guy after this Super Bowl is over, then why not just hire him yesterday? After you talked with him, right. You could have made that announcement yesterday, could have made it official without breaking any rules, but now you have to potentially wait. Do you think that has any indication, or do you think that they're maybe just waiting to see how he feels after the Super Bowl is done?
I just think they talked about a thorough search. So it's kind of funny because, yeah, it's been, extremely thorough, probably one of the most thorough searches we've seen in a long time. But people are upset about it. And I'm like, it's not like the Colts said, yeah, we're going to just, pick a few guys. Like they have openly said it's going to be a wide search. And so, I think maybe a little bit too wide because I think you do need to narrow it down. And we shall see if third interviews are to come, which is just practically unheard of from a head coaching, higher standpoint. But, if they are, I would think the Colts would narrow it down to like 2 or 3 guys personally. And so, I think they were just waiting on Steichen because I think that tells you, and that tells me he's certainly one of their top candidates. So, you think Brian Callahan's kind of, there have been some rumors about him being the front runner. I know Wink Martindale's, his name's kind of been thrown out there. Raheem Morris at times. So I think that they might have 3 or 4 guys here in this final round of interviews that they kind of just are now narrowing it down to, and they haven't been able to talk to Steichen. I mean, originally, I think it was earlier this last week, and it didn't happen till yesterday. So I don't know what the deal was, if it was something with the rules or something like that. I'm not entirely sure why, it took them so long from when they were originally going to do it, but maybe that's kind of why the coaching search has been, kind of pushed back a little bit further than I think a lot of us expected. But I do want to say this, and I know I sent you this yesterday, Derek, in a text. This was something from Albert Breer that he had posted. I just want to read it here to make sure I get it right. He said, one thing to add here as Indy hits the home stretch of its second interviews, Colts owner Jim Irsay, he spent one-on-one time with each candidate throughout this round. He said these rounds that the Colts have had with these interviews with these candidates have been 12 hours long, right? And they've been kind of different and creative and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think this just tells you, this is completely stark contrast to Ballard's first approach, right? His first go around with the head coaching search is the Colts are being, talk about thorough, the thoroughest of thorough trying to get their guy. Now, the problem is, I think this is where a lot of people are frustrated, is like, what's going to happen, if you wait another week, are you going to miss out on some of the top assistants out there? I think that's kind of one of the biggest things. And also, the longer you push this out, Derek, the less time this coach is going to have to prepare for the draft, for free agency, for all these different things, right? And if he's implementing all these new schemes, I mean, I think you can play catch up, but it just seems like it's going to give you less of an opportunity to do so. And so I think that's kind of two of the reasons why maybe some fans are kind of upset about it, because it's like, come on already. This search just seems like it's never going to end. Right when we thought we were going to kind of get some clarity on it, the Colts go and they bring back Aaron Glenn for a second interview. And you're just like, what are we doing, man? Why are we just continuing to keep this search so broad and so wide? But to me, it just, I guess playing devil's advocate to some of those people, I think from a Colts perspective, it's like, you just want to make sure that you are being as thorough as possible and you're making sure you're not just narrowing it down to one or two guys, right? Now, I think there's a time and place to do that. I think the Colts probably should have done that by this point, but I can appreciate the approach, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. And even if I do feel like they need to probably get a little bit of a kick in the butt here, like, come on, let's get going. Let's get this process moving. I understand why they're doing it, and I can respect that. They want to get this hire right, Derek. And it's a big hire, obviously. This is a huge thing, and especially for Chris Ballard, man. I mean, this is his last go, as the Colts GM to hire a coach. He's got to get it right. So, yeah, I mean, for all those reasons, I understand the frustration, but I also understand where Ballard and Irsay are coming from. Where they want to get this right the first time, because you've already been left at the altar once. You don't want that to happen again, right? I don't think that's going to happen with any of these guys, but maybe there is a little bit of PTSD there from them. I don't know.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, it's crazy how many candidates there still are right now.
Yeah, 8. And then, of course, here's the thing. When it comes to the fact that this process is taking so long, we talked about how mainly it's just annoying. Right? Like, it's just annoying as a Colts fan. Like, you kind of just want to get a freaking announcement already. Because at this point, you're just going against yourself. You're not going against anybody now. Like, D'Amico Ryans is gone. Sean Payton's gone. Frank Reich's gone. There's only one other team that's fighting against you right now. And they've really only got like one of your real candidates that most Colts fans think are true contenders right now that are actually competing against you. So really, it's just you competing against yourself. And of course, like we said, if you take too long, then, every few days that keeps going by, that's less days for the guy to come move in, the guy to get accoladed to the stadium and get accoladed to the organization, get ready for this off season that's supposed to be so big. And like you said, missing out on assistants are going off the board now, Cody. Like, it has been for literally the last 2 weeks. There's been a bunch of few assistants that have been going off the field, and some of these guys might have opportunities to bring some of these people in, and then if they don't, then you're going to be in a bad situation. So, but then again, of course, you're also trying to make sure that whoever you hire is going to have that pool of people that they can bring in for your specific type of team. But now, Cody, I mean, what you're hearing is the Colts might have third round interviews this week. I mean, they brought it up on NFL Network all this last week, saying that if a decision's not made by the end of this weekend, then we could see third round interviews, depending on how many people that is. You can't talk to Shane Steichen anymore until after the Super Bowl, and the rest of these guys you can. So it's going to be a question mark. Well, they can't talk with Bieniemy, even though I don't think Bieniemy is going to end up getting the job because he never even got a second interview. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But now it's just a matter of, I wish we could tell where this direction was going, Cody, but I think that we've said it over the last week that we've just given up trying to understand what the Colts are going with all this.
Yeah. I've given up trying to understand the Colts approach to anything. Sometimes it's just like beating your head against a wall trying to figure them out, because they're just sometimes just ridiculous in their processes. And I understand being thorough. I understand having patience, but sometimes it's just, there's a limit, man. And it seems like we've hit that limit here with Colts fans. But I will say this, all this could be remedied. All this frustration can be remedied if you do get the hire right. If you get the right guy that's here to lead this organization, to lead this, potential rookie quarterback, and lead this franchise in a new direction it hasn't been for a while. So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they're doing this, but at the same time, I understand both sides of it, I guess. And I don't necessarily I feel like some people are very much overreacting in certain ways, either one way or the other. But I personally don't really feel I understand both sides. I don't really feel like I have a strong opinion one way or the other. But yeah, very interested to see who they end up hiring because if we don't hear anything today, which we haven't heard anything yet, third round interviews, who are those guys going to be and how many? You can't have 6 or 7. You just
You
can't. You
can't
have
have
to
you
narrow
can't
it
have
down to
more
at
than
least 3.
3. You can't have more than
I
3.
don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Leave it to the
I think
Colts. They're going to have probably like 4 or 5, right? Like that would be what
knowing
something
them.
they would do. But
Yep. Yep.
it'll be
So
interesting to see what they do, man. I'm not sure how this is going to go down. I'm sure that, like you said, I mean, if we don't hear anything over the next 24 hours from the time that we're making this video, and it's about mid-afternoon on our Sunday, if we don't hear anything within the next 24 hours, then I mean, we would assume that there's going to be third round interviews and that there's probably going to be a couple guys that get interviewed this week. And then who knows if Shane Steichen's going to be one of them. I have no idea at this point, but clearly the Colts still have not made a clear and definitive decision on. I mean, me personally, I would have thought if Shane Steichen was a true contender, then they would have just hired him yesterday because that was your last opportunity to do it for another 8 days. So you just kind of are ruining your chances there if that's how it's going to go. And Shane Steichen would be in a really bad situation for being a head coach of the Colts right now because he's going to be a week behind everybody else if somebody were to get hired right away. If we hired Callahan or Morris or any one of these guys by Monday this week, then they would have a whole nother week more than Steichen to move in, get accoladed, tell the guys what they're planning to do with free agency and all this other stuff, get accoladed with the players, and then, things like that. So I don't know, man. It just sucks that we're in this situation now where that it's like at this point, just pick somebody at this point. My anxiety can't take much more of this.
Well, you had 12-plus-hour interviews with all these guys. How much more information do you need from these guys?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I've been wondering that too.
It's just weird. Like, what did the Colts do with those candidates for 12
what
hours
did they talk
to
about?
not have a decision made? Like, I don't understand that. So, just really odd. This is a very odd approach they're taking. But you know what? If it works out, it ends up working out, and they get their guy, and he's their guy for the next 10 to 15 years. It'll be worth it, and we'll look back on this and say, hey, it was frustrating in the moment, but I'm glad they took their time. But if not, and the Colts lose out on some assistance, they might pay the price for it. I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yep, be very interesting. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Do you think the Colts are going to have third round interviews? Who do you think could get involved? Who do you think is going to end up being the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts? But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.